Welcome to this week's edition of the Belau Report. I'm Jane Belau. We're continuing our candidate forums on our weekly program, and this week we'll be talking with the two finalists for Ward 4. And I would introduce Katrina Pullum and Kelly Ray Kirkpatrick.
Yes, thank you.
All right. And both ladies have flipped a coin, and Katrina, you will go first with your opening statement to introduce yourself to our viewers and voters.
All right. Well, hi, everybody. I am Katrina Pullum. Born and raised just outside of town here. Been in the area most of my life. My family came to this area back in the 1800s. We've been here for a long time. Most of my family are farmers or in the construction trade industry, and now at Mayo. I am a small business owner in town. I own Aaron Sandy Trampoline Park. I am also in the middle of starting a new business called Due North Coffee Company. We're bringing coffee trailers to the area as well. And I am a mom, a stepmom, wife, and love Rochester and just trying to make change. One of the reasons why I decided to run for city council was just the need for something different. I've seen so many things happening as a small business owner. The last 4 months have been incredibly difficult for a lot of business owners, and they needed a voice. We learned that there wasn't anyone really standing up for us, or they're making people aware of what was happening. And so that's why I decided to run, just for change, for something new. Our city, it's great to have new direction and look forward and not backwards. And I hope that I can earn everybody's trust, respect, and most importantly, your support as we move through the November 3rd election.
All right. Kelly Kirkpatrick, your opening statement.
Thank you, Jane. Hi, everybody. I'm Kelly Ray Kirkpatrick, and I've been a community leader for a few years here in Rochester. Was born here, grew up here mostly, spent a little bit of time as a child outside of the city in a couple of other states. I have a couple of siblings. I raised 4 children, 2 stepchildren, a daughter and a son that are my own, and they're all out of the house now. They're fully grown and great contributing members to the places where they live and work. I'm an independent contractor. I have been a landscape designer here in Rochester for about 23 years. So I understand the lack of work that businesses have, the lack of funding that businesses have right now. I'm reliant upon clientele that seek me out to do work for them, and usually we can only do landscape design for about 6, 7, 8 months here in this climate if we're lucky, so we have to work really hard during the summer. My community leadership involves sitting on county boards, city local organization boards, as well as doing a lot of community outreach throughout the city in my neighborhood as I serve as president for East Side Neighborhood Association, and then also I do projects throughout Ward 4 as well. I am running because I have discovered that I really enjoy serving the community and doing community outreach. The last couple of years has really helped me to feel like I'm doing good for the community, like I am helping those that need help and that ask for my help. Running for city council is simply an extension of that, and it's been a real joy to get out there and door knock, put flyers on doors, get to know the needs of the people, understand what's going on more in depth with the city. I've been attending city council meetings for almost 2 years, whether in person or doing the online approach that we've been doing now. I interned with Mark Bilderbach when I was doing my graduate work. I've been a single mom for a while. I put myself through my 2nd degree and then also through my graduate studies. I love Rochester. I love the outdoors, design, love doing things for people, and that's why I'm running. I listen to people, I get things done, and I have a heart.
Okay, the first question for the two of you, I think you partially answered in your statement, then is, why are you running for office? So let me clarify a little bit. Do you have a priority or some goal or some personal reason for running other than the good of the city?
Is it
Kelly.
Kelly? Okay, I'll go
I
first.
think we both have, yeah.
Thank you, Jane. I don't have any personal goals for the city except to make the city more equitable and more available to everyone that lives here. We've got some significant issues: housing, our economy. The pandemic is sort of putting us in uncharted territory right now, and I want to help to work with the other city council members and the residents of Ward 4 and all communities throughout Rochester to help make Rochester be the best that it can be. And that's going to require input. That's going to require a listening, a joining of hands together so that we can really understand each other, to work together to make things better. So that's really my personal goal for the city, and it really involves everyone else.
All right, Katrina, why are you running for this position?
So obviously all the same reasons when it comes to making the city better. I think all of us are running to make the city better. There's a lot that needs to be done. The one thing that I've noticed is, you know, when someone's in a position for so long, you only see one direction. Their direction isn't wrong. It's stuff that everyone's voices need to be heard in our city, and we just need to make sure that we're addressing all of those concerns. And that's why it's great that we have so many new people running in general for all wards. There's going to be, no matter what, new voices heard, and I think that's one of the most important things that we need in our city right now. Obviously, my initial reason for running was to support small businesses and to be a voice for small business owners. That was my initial concern and why I wanted to run. But affordable housing is probably one of the biggest issues we have right now. We have a huge housing shortage, and we're trying to increase the number of people in our city. So it's one of the things that we need to tackle pretty much immediately. And I'm pretty certain that every person running is aware of that issue and knows that it needs to be addressed. And then on top of that, right now we are in an incredible economic downturn. We need to focus on our budgets, our planning, making sure that we're just making good choices with the taxpayers' money as we look into this next year and the years after, because our budgets are going to be short, and we need to make sure that we're not increasing taxes to make up for not thinking things through in advance.
As you both look at the city, what is the greatest problem? And Katrina, this is your first one. What is the biggest problem facing the city? Is it a lack of revenue? Is it homeless? Is it the pandemic? What is the biggest problem facing the city, and what can the council do to help?
Oh gosh, all of those are big problems faced in the city. I think all three of those should be top priorities right now. Biggest is obviously budget. Budget affects everything below it. Budget affects what we can do for our homeless and the funds that we have available. Budget affects affordable housing and, you know, TIF financing if we can use that, and it affects where we can make cuts to help with lowering fees to make developing some of these lands even a little bit easier. Budget is number one across the board. It is the lifeblood of the city. It's how we keep everything flowing and functioning. So to me, budget, number one. Obviously, we do have winter's coming, and we need to figure out a plan for our homeless. That's a big thing that needs to be done. I know right now Mayo Civic Center is being used for that and housing during winter months. But we have a lot of work. We all need to work together. That's going to be the biggest issue coming forward, and we need to figure out a plan to just tackle all of these issues together.
Okay, Kelly, the greatest problem facing the city in your view, and what can the council do about that?
Thanks, Jane. I think the council needs to really dig deep and work together at understanding the depth of this economic crisis. We, as a community, the people, the residents of this community, are adversely affected by what we're doing in the community today with the lack of funding that we have coming into our pocketbooks, the lack of consumer services that are being offered because businesses are shutting down. We have economic struggles throughout all of the demographics that are happening. And if we can somehow reach the people and understand their needs better and work together as a city council, even with the county, we're going to understand how we can proceed. And that's going to take trust, and it's going to take communication and understanding. When I walk my ward and talk with the people who live in my ward, it doesn't matter their age, it doesn't matter their socioeconomic status, it doesn't matter the color of their skin. There is a large mistrust in our city government right now, and people want to be able to trust the government. They don't feel as though they're being listened to. They don't feel as though they have a voice. So first and foremost, we need to give our people a voice. That's the residents, that's the consumers, it's the business owners, it's the CEOs of the corporations we have in town, it's the service and hospitality industry. We all deserve a voice. And I think if we can work on the communication, the city and how it plans its budgets, how it works on infrastructure issues, how we proceed with the economy, it's going to give us a better roadmap. And by working as a community together, I think we're all going to be stronger and we're going to make it through this really rough time that we have right now.
Okay. Kelly, the city has changed a great deal from the pandemic. A lot of smaller businesses have closed or are in the process of closing, and some are starting. And some are worrying about transit and commuting, and some of our largest employers are having people work at home and finding out it's not really too bad to do that, but that changes the downtown as a retail center. What can the council do to reestablish Rochester as a bright and vibrant city with a bright and vibrant downtown that it had prior to this pandemic? And that's your question.
Thank you. I've talked with a lot of business owners, and it doesn't matter if they're newer or if they're older, they're all struggling. We've got some really bright business owning minds out there. We've got some great entrepreneurial people out there with innovative ideas, creative ideas, and everyone is struggling. They need funding. They need people to be able to access them. Most of the construction is finished now, and we have full access to our streets. Our city, with the lack of funding that it's going to have from the state moving forward next year, because everyone is suffering nationally, individual states, counties, and our city of Rochester. We need to focus on what's going to be spent. How can we incentivize people to have happier families, healthier families, so that we can all move forward with strength? We need to cut back on our spending. When you don't have a lot of money, you don't go out and you don't spend a lot of money. And I think that's the first issue we need to tackle, is understanding that we can't proceed with plans that have been sort of put in place over the course of the last year and a half, or ideas that have been voted on to move forward. We really need to take a step back. City Administrator Reimer mentioned in last week's City Council meeting, earlier in the year we looked at, in February I think it was, we looked at, we could see the histograph of where the columns were for what we expected for budget and what our outlook looked like. It's not at all the same. There's a red line that drops down this year and it rises back up, but it only hits about 3/4 of what was expected 5 years out. I've stated numerous times we're in uncharted territory, and I don't think any of us can expect our downtown to just poof become what it was. But I know that we've got innovative thought thinkers here, and we've got really great dedicated workforce. We've got creative people. We've got really savvy, smart business owners. We've got incredibly dedicated healthcare professionals and our emergency responders. We are a city that is highly educated. We are highly motivated. We have diverse culture. And I know we're going to make it through this, but we need to proceed slowly and we need to proceed carefully as we start to rebuild our economy to make it the best that it can be, resilient and sustainable for the future, so that we can withstand something like this if it comes in the future.
Okay, Katrina, What can the council do to help the city snap back from the negative effects of lockdowns and all kinds of the side effects of the pandemic?
I mean, that's a really hard question right now, and I'm with Kelly on the fact that we have a lot of very, very intelligent people in this community willing to work together, and it's going to take everybody coming together. One of the things, talking to a lot of the business owners downtown regularly, is downtown has kind of lost the community support before even the pandemic hit. It was already starting to be a downturn compared to what it used to be when I grew up and used to go downtown. It was one of the things that people looked forward to do, was to go downtown. And we've lost that sense of downtown community for some reason. The pandemic obviously made it worse. The construction downtown devastated it, and they are in desperate need of help downtown right now. We have DMC, we have the Downtown Alliance, we have Chamber of Commerce, we have the City Council, we have everybody looking at it and wanting to do good, and I think we just need to bring people together with the business owners and really create a plan to help make downtown vibrant again. And that's going to be a tough tackle right now with COVID and the restrictions that we do have, but it can happen. We can start moving in a good direction. We can bring, like Kelly said, all these great minds together and start finding a way to make downtown vibrant again. We have the Kmart, Ampey, Fullerton lot that's going to be getting redeveloped. There's a lot of great ideas around that to help bring people back down to that area. I see so much potential there with just bringing outside people back to downtown, and they want people's input. They need downtown business, they need residents' input, they need everyone's input to really find out what it is that as a community it's going to take to revive Rochester right now. And it's our core that needs to be revived, and then it's all the outside right now because everybody's struggling. The businesses need Rochester's support. They need people to come back out in the safest way possible and to start moving forward. And I agree. It takes everybody coming together. We have a lot of work to do in the coming months and coming years, and we just need to find solutions together as a team.
Thank you, Katrina. If the budget shows that our revenues are not picking up like they should, and there have to be hard choices made, where do you fall? Do you think more taxes, more fees? Do you think cuts in the budget? And we have good relationships with our foundations and our not-for-profits, but even our not-for-profits are going to be hurting. So where do you find more money for the operation of the city?
Absolutely. Great question, because I am very much, there is a time and a place for certain things, and raising our taxes right now when everybody is struggling so much, I believe it's not appropriate. I think we should be doing everything possible to find solutions that don't raise taxes. I think, I believe they did a 10% cut across most departments going into 2021, and I've been reviewing those budgets. And there are some decent cuts. I think that there could be more. I definitely do. There's people getting raises this year in our city administration, and I don't think that anyone should probably be getting a raise when we're talking about possibly raising city taxes to cover those raises. I don't think that's right. So yes, there are definitely budget cuts that can be made. I have no doubt about it. Some of the projects that might not be detrimental to our infrastructure could possibly be put off a year. I don't think that I'm saying that things don't need to go forward at all, but they could be put off for a year just to allow us time to at least recover and help our businesses and help our community, help those nonprofits that need help right now, and help those without jobs to get back to jobs. One of the other things that we could be doing is looking at trying to increase the revenue that comes into our town. And that happens by building more homes. That's another tax revenue source. By welcoming new businesses back into town, creating programs and incentive programs to help businesses come to town, because all these empty buildings are hurting our economy. They're not helping. We're not bringing in those tax revenue dollars. So really, we just need to find new creative ways to welcome new homes in our town, to welcome new businesses to our town, create new revenue streams where we're lacking right now, and try to just cut back as much as humanly possible on the things that aren't necessary and necessities in the next year.
Okay. All right, Kelly, as you know, the council is struggling with its budget right now, and probably will have a lot of the decisions made before November. But if there's a need for more revenue, where do you look first?
Well, looking to the state for more revenue right now, Jane, is not going to be particularly possible. It was just announced that we're going to have multi-million-dollar reduction potentially from state funding. We really need to dig deep and look inside our own pockets and work towards what we can do for ourselves here in the city. Incentivizing building is difficult. Our supply chains are so disrupted right now. There aren't building materials available for a lot of the developments that are on the books. We need to get people to consider working towards what they were working for, but at a reduced rate. In other words, we sort of all need to pull back on our goals just slightly and stay in a kind of status quo holding pattern. We have a budget, and there's nothing wrong with the budget, but we shouldn't be spending to the maximum amount of the maximum amount that our budget allows. We need to look for cuts. Raises in salaries are not a good idea at this time. We have an infrastructure that is being built for a much larger capacity of employment downtown than we've ever seen. However, we have people that are doing telecommuting, and it's suggested that our largest employer in the state, the Mayo Clinic, may not be bringing all of those employees back downtown. So the holding pattern that we're in gives us a wonderful opportunity to assess our goals, assess how we're going to move forward, what we're going to do with a budget that really isn't even perhaps a realistic budget. We need to look at those cuts and look at how those cuts can actually kind of create innovative thinking, how we can move forward, disrupt the ideas that we've had, and move through some of the plans that we've had and see how we can be creative to make things work with what we've got going. We've just had some bike lanes put in. I know that there's a lot of people that are for the bike lanes. There's also a lot of people that are against the bike lanes. So this holding pattern of assessing how it works this summer with bike lanes, what might it mean for next summer? Do we need that circulator to go into place with the West Transit Hub fully on board? Maybe we don't. Maybe we work incrementally at things in steps. We look at getting the routing in and getting the new hybrid or electric buses in place so that we can simultaneously work on air quality for our community. What kind of zoning changes can we do that don't cost financial burdens to be placed on the city, but they can tweak the structure enough so that it allows for people to move forward and kind of access the goals that they wanted to work on in a status quo sort of a position.
All right. Kelly, how does the city work closely with the county, the nonprofit sector, and DMC mostly, since DMC has been here now maybe 6 years, and it has had a lot of state funding, and they were in the midst of their transit program, which has already been halved, and we don't know how many people are going to be commuting, and how do we close the gap in the communication among the city, county, and DMC?
You hit it on the head there, I think, Jane. It's a communication issue, and how do we close the gap on that? We need to have more transparency. We need to have more accountability. DMC Their 5-year plan is up, and obviously the pandemic slowed them down in getting out the new plan for 2020 to 2025, but there really needs to be added focus on the communication between the county, the city, and DMC. We are all in this together, and we are all working towards goals that should be common goals, goals that are understood throughout the community, goals that will benefit the residents, that will benefit the workforce, that will benefit the businesses, that will benefit the medical and hospitality service industry that we have here. So communication definitely needs to be stepped up, and it's going to take maybe this large change of new city council members coming in to affect that change and make that work.
Okay, Katrina, how do we work together even better than we are now with DMC, the county, and the city, and our nonprofit sector?
Absolutely, it's communication. It's everything that Kelly said. On that note, we're on the same page. We all need to communicate better. That is the downfall, I believe, right now in the city, is so many people feel unheard, so many people just aren't working together. And when they are coming together, they're just not sitting down and cooperating well as a team together. We all have different opinions and different voices, and it's good to have those different opinions and different voices. That's what makes our city so amazing. But being able to sit down and have those discussions openly and in respectful ways is how you learn from one another. It's how we grow. It's how we accomplish the tasks. You only know what you're aware of and what you're around. And so having different perspectives, different points of view, it opens your eyes to maybe a concept or idea you weren't aware of or you didn't know about. And I think that's the most important thing, is that we all come together. No different than what Kelly said. We need communication. We need transparency. We need to work as a team better. With all the great new people coming onto the council and a new president, I think we're going to be moving in the right direction. I think everyone who is running has good intentions and is trying to make the city better. I think everyone brings a different viewpoint, and that's what we need on the city. We need just different viewpoints. We need to work as a team. City council, county, nonprofits, we all have the same goals. We all want to do good. We all want the city to be better. We just need to find ways to pull resources together, work together as a team, and really get through the next couple of years, especially as we try to pull our city out of this pandemic.
Okay, one more question we have time for before our 2-minute closing statements, and that would be, our Minneapolis and some of the larger cities are defunding the police and trying to restructure the response to emergency. And one question we keep getting asked from people is, do you support law enforcement in Rochester? And make it short.
Okay. I'll make this short. Yes, 100% I support law enforcement in Rochester. We have a great chief of police. I have a lot of friends, neighbors, and they all have families that they want to get home to. They care about this city. Everybody wants to do what's right here in this town. Absolutely, I do support our law enforcement. Yes.
Okay. Kelly?
Thanks, Jane. Yes, absolutely. I do support our law enforcement. As a matter of fact, I used to live over on the Southwest historic neighborhood, and right next door to me was some major drug dealers living in the house next door, and my neighborhood worked very hard for 1.5 years, and we didn't understand anything that was going on. And finally, one day the newspaper came out and there were photographs of 8 or 9 of the gang members that had been doing serious drug trafficking through our community. It is prevalent everywhere. We have crime throughout our neighborhood. Now I live on the east side, and I am so thankful that the HIDA application was accepted. We are a high-intensity drug trafficking area. No amount of supports and restructuring of our police and sheriff's department will get us the right amount of social work, the right amount of The police force, the sheriff's department cannot do this on their own. We need to restructure funding to give them the help that they need. We need to ramp up training so that the police force and the sheriff's department can be the best that it can be. We need to give them the tools that they need to meet the community's needs. We need education. We need to make sure that our residents are safe, that they are safe and secure in their homes. And the police force and the sheriff's department cannot do that on their own. We all need to be supportive and come in and pull together to make our community as safe as it can possibly be.
Okay, closing statement, about 2 minutes, 2.5 minutes. And Katrina, and then Kelly.
All right, well, thank you, Jane, for having us on. This has been great. I think the biggest thing that we all want right now is change. We all want to come together. We all need to pull our resources together right now. Small businesses definitely need our support in this community. Right now, everybody is still restricted to 50%, 25% capacity. It's hard to operate. We need the city to pay attention, to help where they can, and also pull resources together to find new ways to move forward. Our nonprofits need help. Affordable housing needs to be looked at. We have so many smart people in this town, and I think the biggest thing that we could do is just pulling some resources together, pulling people together, and finding new ways to move forward and a new innovative way of thinking and pull us out of where we've been. So thank you. I hope I can earn your trust and your respect, and most importantly, your support on November 3rd.
All right, Katrina Pullum. Kelly, your closing statement.
Thanks, Jane. This has been a real honor to be here. I appreciate you doing this. It's kind of cool to be on the Belau Report. So thank you for that. I am going to hit the ground running on November 3rd if I'm elected, and that is what's necessary from the next council person in Ward 4. Mark Bilderbach is retiring. Many of you think he's done a wonderful job. There's people that I've talked to that feel that he hasn't done a wonderful job. Regardless, he served our community for 12 years. Anyone that steps into this role is dedicated, and they need to be dedicated 24/7. And that's what I plan on doing. I've been serving my community, my neighborhood, and other areas throughout the city for over 2 years, and I love doing this. I have an experience set and an energy level that will carry me through for the tough job ahead. Ward 4 is the most diverse, most culturally diverse, most artistically diverse, most economically diverse ward in the city. We have beautiful art installations downtown. We have extreme poverty down Marion Road. We have exceedingly high drug usage and crime rates down Marion Road. That's what makes us so special. We have a diversity that can come together. We can meet the needs of everyone if we simply look to each other and listen. We can communicate. We can put policies in place that will help families to be safer, to feel more secure. We need to fund our residents. They need to be able to spend money here at home. We need our residents to feel safe here. So we need to fund businesses and residents so that we can work reciprocally. The residents support the businesses support the residents. I ask for your vote. Today is the first day that we can vote, September 18th, by absentee ballot. I ask for your vote by absentee ballot or on November 3rd. My website is kellyforcouncil.org. Thank you.
Kelly Kirkpatrick, thank you. And Katrina Pullum, thank you both for your energy and enthusiasm and the thought you're giving to running for this office. And we thank you, our viewers, for your interest in the Rochester elections and the county elections. We'll be back next week, same time, same channel. In the meantime, have a very good week. Have a very good night.